Kenny going to be on the Creekside right lane, dialed 483. Going to be chasing Todd in the Malibu left side, dialed 631. (20-18), only 2 thou separating them. Advantage dragster. Win light, Kenny Branscom. He has finally shook off the bad vibes and got it done.
Team Overlook interview with Kenny B. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Like you said, my name's Kenny Branscom. I'm 38 years old from South Salem, Ohio. I'm a third generation driver. I drive a 2015 Power Chassis dragster, and I've just completed my 31st year of racing and looking forward to number 32.
All right. What keeps you motivated when you have a parts failure?
I think the biggest thing is like with my racing operation is I really like to change things and constantly upgrading stuff. And so if something actually fails, I take that as a learning opportunity and an opportunity to try something new or upgrade that piece of equipment that failed to a little better brand or a better piece.
I know all about those parts failures. It makes a lot of work. How do you balance all that out? Working on the car, having a job, family life. How do you balance it all?
Like everything in life, like it starts at home, right? Having a supporting, loving wife that she helps keep me in check, and she allows me to do all this stuff that I do with the race car and around racing. So it definitely starts with her.
Will you forever be in a dragster, or will you go to the door cars?
So there's no feeling in the world like strapping into a dragster, like none. It's a rocket ship. The cockpit's all just the way it makes you feel sitting inside that thing. And although I drive a door car for other people from time to time, I can drive my door car to work every day. So I'm a big dragster guy.
Team Long Car. Sounds like it's been a pretty wild ride. How did you get to be such a badass driver? We see the checks there behind you. I mean, what got you there?
I don't know about being badass, but we've definitely had some luck, and this has been a great year. I being able to have 3 winner circle pictures in one year, I never thought that I'd experience. Coming into this year, I'd won 3 races total, so it's definitely been it's been trying this season. And early in the year, I just couldn't get past the 5th round. I couldn't get out of my own way. Like there was just things happening that were just so dumb that I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like this is the way this year is going to be. And I stayed to the course and I stayed committed, and I was bound determined that somehow, some way we were going to figure out every bug that we could imagine and put together a short little run. And we did the second half of the season. It was a lot of fun.
What's your favorite part about racing?
It's easy. It's people, man. Like if I'm in the lanes, I'm probably talking to somebody. If we're in between rounds, I'm on the scooter and I'm up watching my buddy or my teammate race, or I'm over at somebody else's trailer, just BSing and catching up and talking about life, talking about racing. So it's definitely people. I enjoy being around everybody at the racetrack.
You said you're just finished your 31st year racing, fixing to start year 32. What age did you get started, and who sort of pushed you into getting started drag racing?
It started with family. Grandpa obviously got us started on the drag racing side, and it carried over into my dad. And, then obviously it was handed down to me. I was 7 years old, and I walked in Grandpa's garage one night about Christmas time, and there sat a brand new junior dragster. So from that moment on, we were as hooked as hook could be.
Oh man, you had options while bracket racing.
That's a good question because I mean, we can street race, we can We can do the no prep, the heads up stuff. I've dabbled a little bit in 90 racing even. It's just there's no there's no way to describe like being in a dragster and watching somebody take off away from you and knowing that here in a few seconds, a few moments, we're gonna go try chase them down. Like it's that the thrill of running somebody down is so much fun. It ain't funny. And I mean that's why we like going fast, right? That's why we're always changing things and trying to go faster. Like it's exhilarating. And and I'm a big numbers guy. Like clear through school, my favorite subject was math, and I love numbers. It's true. It's you can't mess around with numbers, and laying down a lap and seeing being able to physically see why it didn't work out on paper. Just I mean, it's fun to me. It's fun to see those numbers, and it's fun to play this game.
It is a fun feeling seeing a car way down the track and knowing that you've got to take off and catch it.
Yeah.
So, who's your biggest influencers or heroes when it comes to your racing?
It definitely starts with my grandpa. Passed away now, but I know he's seeing the things that I've done this past season. He's smiling for who wouldn't have it, but definitely started with grandpa. My dad, man, I've seen my dad drive door cars, and at 62 years old, he decided he wanted a dragster. So it's been fun to help get him a dragster ride that, it's brought new life back to racing for him and gave him a different aspect. And it's it's the older guys in the sport too. Bill Webb, Jim Skinner, the late Tim Fenneman, like those guys had experiences and they have stories to tell that I could listen to all day long because it's really neat to hear their version of their racing story. And I learn a lot from those guys.
What made you want to do it?
Honestly, it started out with family. You know, we can we can sit here all day and we can discuss how great racing itself is, but when I first wanted to do it, I just wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to be like my grandpa. Like, how cool is it that they drive race cars? I wanted to run around and say, "Hey, man, I drive a race car."
Yep. So behind you, we see the $5,000 winner's check. Walk us through that final round from the time you pull into the lanes to the time you get back to the pits. Tell us what went on in your mind and tell us about that run to win that check.
When I pulled up in the lanes for the finals at Killcare, we immediately had Todd Clark come up, and that's who I was running in the finals. He got out of the car, and he come over and shook my hand, and he congratulated me, which kind of threw me off at first, and I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Man, I just want to congratulate you on having such a great day. Like, it's tough out here, and it really is." And I don't know if you guys know TC, but he's one of the most genuine people you ever meet in your life. And then we started discussing pay, and um, I walked back after we talked split, and I I put air in the tires and was putting my jacket on and put my Hans device or my Simpson hybrid on, and I looked up and I saw my people sitting at the finish line. There was 3 golf carts down there, and friends of the family that are local to me here. Uh, they were sitting there at the finish line, and it was like there's no one else there. Like everybody else had left. It was Sunday. It was late. Like, and I got to take a moment and take a breath and really like soak in the situation I was in. Of those are my people. They're supporting me. Like this is a big moment. So I got inside the car. I took my breath and I looked over at Todd and I was like, "Hey, give me a minute. I need to gain about 5 degrees temperature and then we can roll." And he gave me a thumbs up and pulled out in the water box. And again, it was like it almost went in slow motion because there was nobody here. Very rarely are we at a track that there's no one around. Like starter was there, the water box guy was there. They had already taken down their awnings and stuff. So that's when you really know, like, man, I've survived this long. So did my burnout, which is one of my favorite parts of the run because just put a set of Hoosier slicks on the car and the guy's like, "You got to do a burnout." So we love doing a hard burnout. Then we backed up, took a deep breath, checking gauges and stuff, and I thought about what Brian Lampton, buddy of mine, had told me earlier in the day. He was like, "Man, you can't be grateful and anxious at the same time." He's like, "So if a moment gets to be too big to you and you start feeling really anxious," he said, "start being grateful. Say it out loud to yourself." He said, tell yourself what you're thankful for. And I honest to God, I did that. He had just told me that earlier that day, and I thought, man, I'm so thankful for the moment I'm in. I'm so thankful for the car that I got to buy and have built for me. And like, I was thankful my kids were there. I was thankful my dad's there. And, my wife was there and all my friends were there. And then I took one last deep breath. I staged the car. And when I let go of the button, I felt like I was okay. Like I didn't think I crushed it, but it wasn't going to turn red when it was time for me to go. I knew that much. And I went down there and I realized I was catching him and gave it a couple of rips, and then you immediately turn to the scoreboard, and it's like the longest amount of time possible from I went through the finish line in the final round. That scoreboard hasn't lit up yet and said whether or not we won or lost. So when that win light come on, man, I telling myself because it was dumb, but I let go of the steering wheel and I was fist pumping and hooping and hollering like a little kid, and get down the end of the track and get my time slip. And I looked down and I was like, man, I'm 18, dead two, killing 2 mile an hour. Like I was really proud of myself, and I dialed up one, which I normally don't do, but I gave myself a chance. And I was just really proud of myself at that moment. And I turned the corner and there was my wife standing there who had been sick all day, and she's just grinning from ear to ear. She was so excited that we had finally accomplished something that we've been chasing for so long.
What was the name of your first dragster?
So my first junior dragster, we named it Little Confusion. Um, you guys have race cars. You know how confusing this sport and that car can be. So my grandpa had carried the name Confusion when he started. My dad then carried it, and we went from Little Confusion, then we went to Confusion 2, and Confusion 2 stuck ever since. And car to this day says Confusion 2 on it. So just a family treat, I guess.
Nice. In the final of the 5K, you said you dialed your car up on. What makes you determine when to change your dial in when you're at a race?
So obviously we have apps nowadays that are really helpful. I use GoDead on religiously. I'm constantly looking at it and trying to determine what to dial the car off of what it's telling me. Obviously, it's not. We're human. It's a computer. I don't look at it and go, oh, this is exactly what's going to run. But I use it as I guess, an indicator of what it could possibly do. In the final round, I'd actually down to 4 cars. The car slowed up. I got moved over to the left lane, and the car actually went an 83 on an 80. And I thought, man, that was weird. Like we just went an 81 the round before. So I took in consideration that it could have been the lane. It went an 83 with an 8. So I probably should put an 84 on it. And I thought, I better not. We're probably going about an 82 back in the right lane. And we were, if I crunch the numbers, we're going mid to high 82 and breaking out and, getting heartbroken. So I dialed it up one and went down there and gave her a couple of rips as I was going around him and took a stripe for the win.
Is that your favorite moment at the racetrack?
There's probably two, but that one's definitely up there. I would say that's number one moment. Yeah. Number two would be buddy of mine, Dugan Reed. He let me use his garage one time, and in 9 days, we took the motor out of the car, tore it all the way down the bare block, put it all back together and back in the car, and went and won a shootout at National Trail Raceway on a Friday night. That was pretty special. I mean, 9 days in somebody else's garage, spending every night out there with him. My dad there was a lot of stress there, but it was a lot of fun, which made that shootout win was my first one. So it was just extra special.
Nice. So you win the 5K, you pull up to the trailer, there's your wife, happy. What's her cut of the winnings? What's she get when you win a big race like that?
So we used to do shoes. Like every time I'd win a race, she got a new pair of shoes. Well, then she was almost getting barefoot because it felt like I wasn't winning enough. So she changed it up, and she's obsessed with Halloween, and she decided she wanted something Halloween every time we won. So here recently, that's kind of been our tradition. She gets a new decoration for the yard or the pit decorating contest or something, but it's turned into it's Halloween. It's a decoration of some sort.
Where did the name BB come from?
I don't know if you guys know Micah Mann, but that dude is full of character. Like he's something else. And me, him, and Rob Saunders went to Dragway 42 for an ace race, and Tim Fenneman, who I've mentioned earlier, had given me a blower to put on my car, an 871 blower. So we put the blower on the car, and we get there and unload the car, and there wasn't a whole lot of people that knew it was on the car. And when I unloaded the car, everybody was like, "Where did that come from?" Long story, that's absolutely insane, but we hadn't even started the car yet. We put the blower on and still had to make 2 more lines to be able to race that weekend. But Tim and I were bound determined we were going to get it done. And Michael walked over and he started calling the car BB because we wheeled her down the 16 cars first time we ever put a blower on it. And it was just, dude, it was blowing through the converter going 486 at 140 plus mile an hour. And it was just, once we put a converter in the following year, it went a 443. So it was definitely just in high gear, driving like a Cadillac. And Micah started calling it BB for Blower Bay. So it just kind of stuck. Now, if the blower's not on it, I just shortened it up to BB.
Well, when you make a lap and you get back and you see the slip and it says you're one total, what's that mean to you?
There's a lot of things that go into that. I mean, you guys are drivers yourselves. Like, I did my job on the starting line at that point, you know, in that situation, and I done it twice that weekend that I won the 5K. The first one, I let go trip zip. I was racing Jerry Hollingsworth, who's racing a brand new dragster that he won. He's won multiple races, and I knew I had to be really good. And he was holding a couple, and excuse me, and I'm looking over at him, and I'm like, man, I'm not in a good spot. Like, we're holding this as a scoreboard, and hopefully it lights up. And you know, I get that slip, and I'm trip zip dead one, taking 3,000 stripe, like, and I'm going, holy crap, like you can't get much better than one total, and I'm only taking 3,000 to stripe, like. And then the next day I had Mark Cook. We were around 25 cars left. And same situation. Mark's a guy that holds. He's got a blower car. He dials 460s. And I pretty much, my mentality at that point is I've got to let go good. And then it's his race. Like, I'm going to hold it to the floor and I'm going to let him make the mistake. And, you know, there wasn't really a mistake to be made when you're one total. I was one up front dead egg and he's 13, 2,000 under. Like, it's just two nasty laps that worked out in my favor, but it's definitely an accomplishment and excitement on our part to be able to lay down laps like that.
Yeah, that's some driving. Some real driving right there. All right. So you had a great season, you know, better than most people. So who builds your motors and trans, converter you run, stuff like that?
Converter, we just recently switched over here in the past probably 5, 6 years and went with FTI. Um, I actually had an issue at the track with a converter, and what really sells me with all these parts manufacturers out there is customer service, right? And I had Troy Williams Jr. come over himself and help me change a converter to track one day. And that just, I'm FTI for life now. Like, that just meant so much to me. It wasn't funny. So definitely FTI converter. My transmission, Jim Skinner does my transmission. Um, he has for years now, and knock on wood, it's been great. Like, it handles me being doubled some races, and you know, carrying late in rounds and round robins. And motor wise, here in the past couple of years, my motor program has gotten so much better. A guy I actually work with out of Kentucky, John Dingus, has started taking over my motors and, you know, coming to my shop and, you know, helping rebuild or change or do little things to help the program be better. And we picked up a little ET with him, and man, it's been nice to load the car up all in one piece on its own power and unload it and put it in the garage at the end of the year, knowing that we made it the entire season and didn't have a whole lot of issues. So that's definitely been a big part of our program and our success this year.
Do you run big money bracket races or do you run points, Kenny?
So mostly I run big money bracket races. The entry fee compared to the payout, just it makes so much more sense to do that to me. in this area. But every now and then I'll go hit up a points race, not for the points, obviously, but just to get in another race if there's a big gap between the big money races. Got to stay sharp.
Yep.
What is the most crucial aspect of a successful launch?
Man, there's so many components that go into that. Um, Tire pressure is a big deal. Your suspension setup compared to your horsepower, and there's so much that goes into that. And this, not to brag on my stuff, but this power chassis it's been 440s and it's been 570s, and it seems like it worked no matter what was in them in for a power plant. But it's definitely the suspension, the car itself, the tire setup, like it all plays a part in it, and it's worked. So pretty proud of that.
Go Mickeys.
Right. What do you feel is the toughest to figure out, the mental aspect or learning and trusting your equipment?
I think that learning to trust my equipment is definitely tough, but I feel like that I change so much that I feel like that I'm constantly learning and trying to make the cars perfect, so to speak, as I can. The mental aspect is by far the toughest. It's grueling to go 9, 10 rounds, and you have to be better than the other guy, and that doesn't mean perfect, but some rounds you have to be nearly perfect to be able to accomplish turning on that wind light. So it's definitely the mental aspect and not being too hard on yourself when things aren't going your way, and trying to stay positive and focused on your overall goal of winning the race.
All right, so I see you got the green on the hat, green on the race car. Why green?
So it actually started with my grandpa. My grandpa had a coupe that was green, and he called it Green Confusion. And my favorite color was green, so it's all went together, and I've just stuck with it. And there's an aspect of, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, that green's not good luck. It's bad luck in racing, and I'm very stubborn and bullheaded, as my wife laughs in the background, and I I just wanted to. It just adds to it. Like, I'm gonna prove you wrong that it has nothing to do with the color. It's just a color I like, and it's a color that has been in the family, and I went with it, man. We're all out with it.
Yep. When we're out there on the track, it's just us. So it seems like it's a solo sport, but really it's not. You got to have a team behind you. Who all makes up your team and supports you?
I mean, of course, we have our friends and family that are from the racetrack themselves. You see them every weekend or every other weekend or however often you get to race, and then you don't see them for 4 or 5 months, and then you go back to racing and you see them again like you never left. And you know, you have those people, and but the home front, man, it's the wife, it's the kids, it's my dad, it's everybody that buys into what I'm doing and wants to see me succeed. And if that means that it's helping spend money where we shouldn't be spending money, or if it's doing things that they may not agree with, but I want to try it, and it's just a support factor. It starts at home, and it's definitely wife, kids, dad. It's the immediate family that supports you and keep you going.
Yep.
So, why drag racing and why not dirt track?
I'm in the area. I'm in dirt track country, so there's definitely several dirt tracks around here. My uncle George was a dirt track champion. Um, his name's well known in the area, and everybody loved my uncle George, and he knew how to win. But my grandpa and him used to race together, and they kind of went their separate ways. Grandpa went to the drag racing side, and Uncle George continued the round track stuff. And lucky for me, I had Grandpa to steer me in the right direction to stay straight and not chase my tail.
What? Yep. What drives you to do your best? What really pushes you to be the best you can be when you're on the track?
I think the biggest thing is I'm not one of those racers that gets to go every weekend. So when I go once, maybe twice a month, like when I get there, I feel like I've got something to prove because I do believe in myself and I do believe I can be a very good driver. So a lot of it's just me. Like I want to prove to myself that I can do this and not race every weekend like everyone else does because the budget's just not there for it. But then of course, there's a lot of commitment and a lot of sacrifices out of my wife, kids, my dad, that immediate family we just talked about. Like I want to do it for them. There's no better feeling in the world than having my dad, my wife, my kids proud of me, and to hear their excitement when I'm going rounds, and to see the way that we're down the four cars and my wife can hardly stand it because she's getting wound up. Like she's not even in the car, so to see that's something that it drives me and it helps keep me motivated.
Well, I've been to Ohio. I've been to trails. I really like it. Uh, but I mean, you have the mother of racetracks in your area in Norwalk. But what's your favorite track?
Norwalk's kind of a haul for me. And I say haul because I don't travel a whole bunch. I've got Edgewater, I've got trails, and I have Killcare all within about an hour and a half of me. So it's hard to pick one, especially now that I had success at Killcare because Killcare was my Achilles heel. Like I couldn't get it done. I just couldn't finish one at Killcare. You know, I now won 6 races and 5 of them's been at trails. So from that standpoint, absolutely National Trail is my favorite track. But Killcare's tough, man. Killcare's the best of the best, and it makes you get up on the wheel and drive. And that second you slip up and you let go 20 something, that opponent in the other lane lets you know it. Like, and he don't have to say a word. He's just going to out drive you at that point because he's done handed it to you on the starting line. So in Norwalk's a great facility, man. I've been up there a few times. Used to go to the 10 Grand Nationals up there, and it's a big stage atmosphere, and that's what makes Norwalk so neat too. So uh, I'm blessed to have those three that I can go to, and hopefully this year I can get back to Norwalk and things will be fun.
What were your emotions like when you got that first dragster? When you were 7 and you go in your grandpa's garage and you see that brand new junior sitting out there?
Buddy, if I get a brand new anything when it comes to a race car now, it's all the same. It's a tear wells up in the eyes and rolls down the cheek, and it's man, I've got so much passion for the sport, and even in life, like I'm a very emotional person as far as passion goes, and yeah, I 100% shed a tear and was so excited that I got to do what Daddy and Grandpa does. So there was a lot of emotion there, and it was all tears of joy and happiness. That's for sure.
How do you physically and mentally prepare during the off season?
Mentally, I sat inside the car a lot. Um, Obviously, when things aren't tore apart and sitting in my seat, I sit inside the car and I kind of close my eyes and I go through my routine a lot. I try to force myself to envision that I'm at the track and letting go of the button, and you know there's times that I'll play with the seat belts and stuff and how I'm sitting in the car. And my car personally is really setting straight up in it, which is something I love about my car. So I'm able to see over top, and I can see a lot more than normal, but then I restrict it a little bit because I do wear the Simpson hybrid. So getting used to it and making it to where I can really turn and look. And when you're running 480s in a dragster, that used to be fast, and it's not anymore. It's you hardly chase anybody when it comes to these big money races. You're the one getting chased, so you definitely have to be able to look.
What's your plans this winter for the hot rod? You just basic freshen ups or any upgrades?
Probably have to tell my wife to cover her ears first, but we're putting a new set of heads on it. We're gonna buy some Wiseco pistons, and we're gonna take that 24-degree motor and make her an 18-degree and see if we can't run a little bit faster and have a little more fun.
Oh man, is BB the best dragster you've ever driven?
So by far, like I don't, and I know that like Travis Colangelo builds a great car. Britt, those guys are American race cars. They build a great car. The Mullis dragsters are great. Like there's so many different brand name dragsters out there, the McIlvains that are great cars, but I haven't personally driven them. And I not to sound arrogant or anything, but I don't really have a desire to because my car is really good and it makes me look really bad because it's so good. Like there's nothing worse than letting go and going dead on, and now I'm sitting there going, "You dummy! All you had to do was be a little better." Like, but the car does its job, and that's something that I'm pretty proud of, and I really like that the car the car works the way it does. So, yes, absolutely, this is the best dragster I've had, and I've had a couple of them now. I've driven a few other ones, and I I absolutely love my car. I definitely do, and it works great.
Yep. So what's the fastest lap that you've made in a dragster? And also having driven door cars in the past, what's the fastest you've been down the track in a door car as well?
So in my dragster, I've been a 443 at 157. I talked a little bit about it earlier. I put an 871 blower from Tim Finnemans on the car, and once we got the bugs worked out and put a converter in it, like to me that thing was absolutely flying. It was a blast. It wasn't meant to have a blower on it, so we were tearing up everything we could imagine to tear up, and she definitely showed me all the weak points and the transmission and the rear end, and it was eating everything up. So eventually I said, okay, I give. Like going fast and my wallet are not equaling here, so we took it off them. But yeah, we've been 443 at 157 in my dragster, and then in a door car, I drive a roadster for a guy. His name's Dennis Templin, and we went 580s in that roadster. That would have been 2 years ago. Currently, the Roadster's getting a new chassis underneath it, and because it was an older chassis and probably didn't have much business going 580s in it, but it's going to go a little bit faster. It's going to get a tune up. A lot of exciting things happening this off season.
Nice.
All right. What's keeping you from just selling everything and just, go on vacation?
Um, Probably the correct answer is my wife. There's been a few times that I've been pretty frustrated and ready to throw the towel in and say, you know what, we could pay the house off. Like there's a few bills we could get rid of if we sell this dragster. But we both know that I would not be fun to live with if I didn't have racing to release my aggravations on. So definitely her for sure. But now, like you mentioned earlier, we've had some success here recently, and past few years been really good to us. And the bigger than racing mentality of going and camping for a few days, and we're just happen to take the race car with us it's been fun for the whole family, not just me, and that keeps it around.
That's right. That's right. There's no party like a pit party.
That's right.
I'm all out of questions, man. Is there anybody you want to thank or anything special you want to say?
I would like to talk about Team Overlook a little bit. This is something that Dave, I know you're new to, and I've been around for, several months now. And it's really the mentality of the guys inside the group, like you've seen the group chat and stuff, like that's helped a lot. Excuse me. Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. Yes, it's a definite family atmosphere in there.
Oh yeah, it's a brotherhood, and as bad as it sounds, Dave, you haven't even experienced it during the summer when everybody races and everyone's helping each other. Man, it's awesome to be a part of and to really get that brotherhood.
Yep, I can't wait for racing season.
Yeah, you and me both, man. I'm ready.
I'm pretty excited for Norwalk, Dave. I'm not trying to push you into it, but if you could travel up here, sounds like we're going to be about 10 deep in this group, and it's going to be a blast. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's the one to be at for sure.
Yeah.
You ain't got to twist my arm too hard for a good time.
It's going to be one, I'm telling you. Like I'm excited to all these guys we talked to in the group, and just now doing Zoom meetings and putting faces to the names. Like I really want to race with some of these guys, and I'm not a big traveler, but it'd be really cool to get everybody in one spot and just have a blast for a week that we'll never forget, I'm sure.
Yep. That would be fun.
Absolutely.